over time we have been asked, what is wealth management? So I want to take a moment to talk through the different elements of wealth management and what that means for your own personal plan and how you can preserve, protect, and enhance your hard-earned wealth. So let's dive in. Let's take a look at what is wealth management and why it is important to you. Well, before we dive into anything, I want to take a look at this slide here because it talks about what success is. And because you are successful in your own right, you know that it's not just something that has been happening to you, it's actually something that you have helped stoke and something that you have actually done and worked on yourself. So success is the precision, and it's the implementation, and it's the access. That's what success is. So it is all the different elements of knowing where you want to go, plus the precision piece, implementing the steps that it takes to get there, and then really working with the others that can help make that happen with the access. Well, that's the elements there. And as we take a look at what success means, let's take a look at it in the eyes of the wealth management formula. So this is the big broad pictures of what wealth management means and what it means to you. So when we take a look at everything here, it is all of the investment management that needs to happen as part of your own portfolio. But it's not just ending there. Yes, we can be putting into some tax deferred assets or ways that we can have tax free growth even. But that's just a piece of it. We need to mold and map that into all of the different areas of what I call advanced planning. So there's some number of elements here that come back to the advanced planning. Wealth enhancement is a piece of it. And I actually throw in tax mitigation here. So this is how we can be growing your wealth while preserving it from taxes and not having to pay more than the share that you are needing to pay. Well, we also have the different things that crop up with wealth transfer, making sure your money is not going to the wrong people. So we want them to go to the right people at the right time with the least amount of tax impact. That's in a good estate plan. We also look at the different elements of what we talk about with the wealth protection. And that comes back down to everything related to making sure your money is not unjustly taken. So when we take a look at all the different reasons why someone could sue you or ways that something could take your wealth when something unexpected happens, that's where good wealth protection comes into play. We have charitable giving as a piece of that as well. You see, there's going to be many opportunities that you have to be charitably inclined, to actually have foundations, to have organizations, and to have and help the ideals that you care about. That's what a good charitable planning comes into play. Then we have wealth preservation here as well that I could put onto this list to say how can we preserve your hard-earned wealth. And then we also have another element, and it's not even on here, but I call this the business enrichment. And it's how we can be working with your business and making sure that that can translate into your personal life, that we can be building up the different elements of the business and have that come back to building the wealth in your personal life as well. Because we know those two sometimes can be synonymous when it is really working towards what you want. Well, the other element of a good wealth management plan is the relationship. Not only the relationship that, say, we have or that you have with your advisor or your wealth manager, but the relationships that we have with all the other people that speak into your financial life. You see, that's what makes for a good plan. When we have the investments that are laid out correctly, when we have the advanced planning that is being taken care of, but then we're all on the same page because we're all talking together with the different CPAs, with your tax lawyers, with the estate attorneys, with all the different people that can be helping with wealth protection. And when we're on the same page and we're all working to your benefit, that is what is good wealth management. Well, that's a big picture of what we do here at Lions Wealth. And what I want to do now is kind of dive into all these opportunities here as part of the process that we take you through. And it starts out to understand you. You see, that's why we call it the discovery meeting, because I want to understand the needs that you have, the goals that you have, and the desires for the future. You see, if we know where you're at today and where we want to go in the future, this actually can be very interesting then, because we can look to fill those gaps and all the different things that come with it. And that is part of the process. So we have the discovery meeting, then we dive into what we are looking at as the initial findings meeting. And that's where it actually goes to see what gaps exist and how we can identify and correct those gaps. Well, the mutual commitment meeting then is a piece of that, because then we can actually mutually commit to working with each other and start implementing. Well, once we've done all that, we've come to all of those different elements, we need to see what progress we're making and what success is. Remember what we talked about with success, that it's implementation is a part of it, but we need to be taking a look at the different elements. So we have the precision, we have the plan, we've been working on implementing, but now this is part of reviewing, not only just with us, but with all those other people that speak into your financial life. That's what really sets apart a good wealth manager from one that is just acting like it. Well, that's why we have created what we call the virtual family office here, and that comes back to all the different elements that we're talking about. Because when we take a look at the wealthiest families out there, they all have people that are working to their benefit. So they do have the investment managers, they do have the ones that speak into tax elements of it, they do have the ones that take a look at the different elements of just even the estate plan. But if they're not coordinated together, they may actually be saving a little bit in tax today to having a lot of taxation happen in the future. And without that coordination, it doesn't work well. Well, we've taken that step, and now we have created what we call the virtual family office. So this is where we can have other individuals help to speak into your personal wealth plan, but they don't all have to be necessarily in the same place, in the same state even. They can be around the country. And what that does is it really helps to make sure that you can have the best quality advisors speaking on your behalf. And that's what can really happen now with and through technology that has never been out there before. So as part of good wealth management, having others be able to speak correctly into your wealth plan and work together is going to be a big piece of that. And that's where most advisors, financial planners get it wrong. Because as you can see here, there's going to be a number of individuals that are just talking and working on investments. Especially in my profession, that's a lot of what they want to talk about. But when they go one step farther, then they get into some financial planning. And that's where they still have some questions about what they should be doing, reservations on how they can be actually helping you. But once they get past that, that's when they can actually become a wealth manager and diving into those different elements that we were discussing. So it's not just enough to know that you can retire or that you're going to have enough money to live on. It's going through the goals that you want and making sure that every little element aligns to those goals. And then it comes to the virtual family office. And there's only a handful of advisors and wealth managers in the country that can actually do that, because most are working on just the financial advisory role of how they can help you quote unquote retire and make sure that you have some Social Security to count upon, a little bit of a pension plan possibly, the income streams. But the good wealth management focuses on so much more. Well, that really comes back to the virtuous cycle that we're talking about here and all the different ways that this works together. So we have different things that we can be working on with respect to your own portfolio, and that's what this really highlights. And we put that virtuous cycle of how we can be doing those different elements of the plan, working the plan, and always reviewing and seeing our progress. It is really fun to do. And it always comes back to that discovery meeting and the questions that we have. And that's why we have what we call the total client profile and the models that we have made, because it takes into account your values, the goals you have, the people that are important to you, even the other advisors that speak into your financial life, the assets you have, the income you have, and what you actually want to do, your hobbies, your activities. And that's how we start to map all of this out, so that we're not just taking a look at the fact that you have enough money to, say, quote unquote, retire, because we have the house paid off and you have maybe, say, your cars and your boats and things that are taken care of with your toys. But now we actually know what you want, and we can start to make those adjustments. And that's where we have some of the criteria here that we lay out here with respect to the purpose that we have, the ways that we can be working to make sure that we are always transparent. That's what good wealth management is. There is transparency here. There's the proven process that comes with it. And as you can see here, we have the technical expertise as well. It's not just saying, it's doing. And that is also very helpful with a good wealth manager. Well, that's where we've done a lot of research, and you can actually see that there's two different ways to look at your overall wealth management plan. You can be defensive, or you can be offensive. And neither is wrong, and neither is right. They're both who you are. They're both identifies different topics, ideas, strategies, and desires that you have. And when we put those together, and there's going to be actually times that we need to be defensive, and there's going to be times that we need to be offensive. But when we put those things together, that's actually what can really help to make your plan improve significantly over time. And that's where we take a look at the different families that are out there, the different ways that the super rich can help compare and contrast their overall wealth plans through what we call a stress test. And that is really the elements that we're going to be taking a look at where you're at today and putting your wealth management plan through the paces. So what does this look like? Well, we take every little element and work through what could possibly happen. All the different elements of pluses and minuses with respect to the plan itself. So, what happens if something really bad happens to your house? We need to rebuild. Well, we need to make sure that we have the correct insurances. But that actually is less likely than, say, you getting sued. Because there are so many people out there that want to try to make a quick buck. And the homeowner's insurance can actually help protect against some of those elements. So if we have the correct wealth protection strategies, that can be here as part of our stress testing. Well, what about the business? The different ways that we can be helping to protect and grow correctly the business. What about ways we can be working to say, what happens if the worst comes to worst and the stock market crashes 50%? How is that going to play out? You see, all of those little elements are just another data point. And we can do the stress testing, and that will help to make sure that we can plug any holes or any gaps that we see. Well, we have the needs for stress testing, and that's something that you may have a need for. You see, what we find is that there are many individuals that have the starting of the wealth plan, but they haven't had a review and the test actually done. You can call this a stress test. You can call this even a second opinion. Just making sure that what you're doing is on track. And that's what this really is about. So here's the action steps that we take as part of this. You can maintain your current plan. That can be one outcome that is from the stress test. And what that means is that everything looks pretty good. Everything looks like we're actually on track and no real changes are needed. Well, the other one here is that there may be some fine-tuning that happens. That's not a problem. That just means there's a couple of small little tweaks that are out there. And once you do that, you can help better your overall situation. But the third one that's on our list down here, that maybe there are some bigger elements that need to be worked through, and maybe you need to actually take the step to have another wealth manager help you with that. And that process can pay dividends to you in the future, because as you start to go through the process and fill those gaps that have been identified, that's when you can really start to see how your own wealth plan can significantly improve. So that's a big piece of it. Now there's also a number of errors that we find when stress testing as well. And some of them just come back down to some of the different things from the asset protection, the estate planning elements, and we can have great quality plans in place. But remember, a lot of these errors are because there's no coordination between the other advisors that speak into your financial life. And that's where having someone to help with all this can be really good, to make sure that even though we have an airtight estate plan, maybe that doesn't take into account some of the other goals that you have. And so your wishes may not actually be carried out, even with the best intentions that that lawyer had for you. And when you're not absolutely sure, that's when we can actually have that stress test. And what this will do is actually give you peace of mind. And through the companies that we have worked with and hired out to do the research, they have actually found that 87% of the individuals who go through stress tests in general actually have a really good sense that they're coming away with an improved plan. And that actually can help to grow their overall wealth and the opportunities they have. And that alone is the reason why stress tests are so beneficial. And the reason why this is really important as the overall process in the wealth management plan. So that is really encompassing of all the different elements that we do here, not only at Lions Wealth, but how we work with all the other individuals that speak into your financial world, into your financial life, as part of the good wealth management formula. So remember that when we talk about wealth management, it comes to the investments, it comes to the advanced planning, and also it's a relationship management. Please, as you feel that you want to be going through a stress test, reach out to us. There's a link below in the description that you can click on to contact us, and just in the comment section, type stress test. And we would be happy to set up a consultation and ultimately a discovery meeting to take you through the process. And like the video, because that will help others find it and so that they can know what a good wealth management process is. And as you have time, feel free to subscribe to our channel. Like these videos, watch more of them, and you can be on your way to a good wealth management plan. Take care. Have a great rest of the day. I look forward to seeing you soon.